Dear students, let us start the discussion on 05th October 2016 newspaper. The first article is related to the nuclear deal with Japan. Already we have discussed enough on this. Now let us see. Now in Andhra Pradesh at Kovada, Westinghouse is supposed to establish 6 nuclear reactors. And there is no possibility of establishing them without a nuclear deal with Japan. Because the Westinghouse company is now owned by Toshiba. And similarly, GE, the nuclear plants division, is owned by Mitsubishi. So in these circumstances, all the nuclear installations that are going to come into India, they have either the Japanese space or they are owned by the Japanese companies. And second is, India-Japan nuclear cooperation is just held up because of the nullification clause. What does that mean? If India conducts nuclear tests, automatically the Japan-India nuclear treaty will come to an end. So India is objecting to this nullification clause. And another thing is, the Japan has become very sensitive to the nuclear reactors and nuclear energy after Daiichi Fukushima nuclear accident. So the liability issues still exist. So these are the things which need to be solved for India-Japan nuclear deal. Now coming to the monetary policy, the RBI has said that the reverse repo rate is decreased by 25 percentage points. So it means that the interest rates are going to come down. It is going to boost the domestic demand and facilitate the growth. Now, why this decision is taken by the RBI? The global demand is weak. If we have to ensure the growth, the domestic demand has to be raised. So that means the money availability in the market has to increase, and that's what the RBI has did. And second, the inflation, retail inflation also has come down in this quarter. And we are going to have a bumper crop output because of the good rains which we have this year. So from this perspective, RBI has made the decisions, but warning signs are still there. The 7th Pay Commission recommendations, higher minimum support prices, these might increase the inflation. And added to that, the inflation target was, the 4% was initially for 2008, now it was revised for 2021. For the first time, Monetary Policy Committee has announced the monetary policy, and the Monetary Policy Committee working has started in a good environment. So in this context, what are the major issues which are facing our Indian economy? One is NPAs of the banks. 61% of the total NPAs of the banks belong to 5 sectors. The major being infrastructure, telecom, textiles, etc., steel. Now in these, we need to provide for sector-specific growth factors, and sector-specific problems or impediments need to be removed for. And the next one is monetary transmission. What do we mean by this? The reduction in the rates by RBI, this need to be transmitted to the others, that is banks, commercial banks have to transmit that to the customers. But however, the major hindrance for them is competition from the small savings schemes. Now the interest rates of the small savings schemes are high. So the banks are also forced to give higher interest rates on their deposits to attract them. So that's why the monetary policy cuts are not being transferred to the end customers, and there is no impact on the markets because of this. So government has brought in the lending rate to be determined by marginal cost of the funds. So that is called a marginal cost of funds based lending rate. So it has to be revised monthly. So it is also being operational now. And as small savings rates also have decreased by the government, it is expected that the commercial banks will transmit the policy cuts to the customers. Now to be truly transparent, it's about judiciary. Now what is the context? It is about the appointment of the judges. Let us see the background. You know, Article 124 has got functionally changed after the second judge's case. The independence of judiciary has come into primacy, and it has changed the way the judges are appointed to the higher judiciary. So the political interference in the appointment of the judges has come down. But however, nepotism, arbitrariness, they are still existing in the appointment of the judges. So to remove this, we have come across National Judicial Appointments Commission. But there are problems over here. Then it consists of 6 members, 3 from judiciary side, law minister and 2 other independent members who are appointed by Prime Minister and recommendations of Prime Minister and leader of opposition. So there is a veto clause. If any 2 members do not agree for, the appointments can be vetoed. So now already law minister is on the government side. Among the 2 appointees, if one of them is on the government side, the judicial opinion or judicial appointments can be compromised. That's why the Supreme Court has declared the National Judicial Appointments Commission as unconstitutional. But it said the collegium system also need to be reviewed and the transparency need to be improved. So in this case, the memorandum of procedure that has the responsibility was given to the central government. The central government in the memorandum of procedure, it has said that the government shall have the right to veto the appointment in the interest of the national security. So here there is again a conflict between executive and judiciary, which is the judiciary is unable to accept. This is where the article recommends certain measures. Now, if you want to appoint 100 judges, we shall see at least 1,000. There has to be clear criteria on what basis we shall select the judges. And the comparison between different members, why one is selected against the other, that data need to be stated for. So this transparency will change the things. So for this entire process to oversee, not ad hoc system, but a permanent commission is necessary. The British Judicial Appointments Commission is an example for this. And this commission has to be independent both from judiciary and also from the government. That is what is the article talks about. Now coming to Firoz Varun Gandhi's article, with regard to making our urban areas mosquito free or urban areas communicable disease free. So if you take dengue, chikungunya, all these diseases are prevalent in the urban areas due to water clogging conditions. So there are many of the practices which we do, they are being responsible for this. The simple thing is the solid waste management in India, in the urban areas, it is in a dismal state. So what we can do for this, the Surat and Chandigarh stand as examples. One is separation at the source. So the biodegradable materials can be separated and they can be recycled, they can be converted into compost. And biomethanation plants, they need to be established. Already the government of India has brought in solid waste rules. It has clearly said the separation at source and bulk producers of the solid waste need to be imposed certain fees. Like that, certain mechanisms have been come up. The Surat, which was the victim of the plague, it has evolved from that, has developed the best sanitation measures, which other states also can emulate, other cities can also follow. The next article is related to Aadhaar. So the government of India wants to make Aadhaar as compulsory for the LPG cylinders to get the LPG subsidy. So the LPG subsidy is the most misused and the leakages are too high. So the government over a period of time want to confine this only to the BPL families. So in the process, slowly it started making the Aadhaar mandatory. The government also has claimed that because of the Aadhaar, 15,000 crores of rupees were saved in LPG subsidy. Now coming to India-Singapore relations. So there is a strategic partnership between these two countries. And this annual strategic dialogue between Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Lee, and Prime Minister Modi was held. So 3 MOUs are signed. They are mostly related to the skill development. Added to that, Singapore also has supported the India's stand against terrorism, and it has condemned the terrorism in all its forms. And the second thing is, Prime Minister Modi said that there shall be freedom of navigation in high seas. It is directly posed against the China. And then there has to be respect for international law on the seas. And it is also directed against China in the context of South China Sea judgment. And finally, the cyber security is also in discussion between 2 prime ministers. Now coming to healthcare in the rural areas. Now there is very important point over here. The 51% of the healthcare workers in rural side, they are untrained. And if you talk about MBBS allopathic doctors versus Ayush doctors, allopathic doctors appear to be competent. And third thing is, the wealth of the village, it is more the determinant of the health condition of the villagers rather than the wealth at the individual level. So the collective prosperity of the village, socio-economic condition of the village is the determinant of the health condition and access to health for the villagers, irrespective of their income status. So these are the three factors which have been explained in the survey conducted by Health Affairs Journal. So these are the articles for today. Thank you very much.